All right, y'all can go ahead.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First thing on the agenda was roll call.
All right, we can go ahead with the roll call. Barry Ford, Clay Blazer.
Here, sorry.
That's okay. Norman Smith,
Here.
Jonathan Laws, Casey Gillum,
Here.
Forrest Clevenger,
Here.
and Kyle Schute. All right.
All right. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes from last meeting.
I'm making a motion to accept.
I apologize. I didn't have that in front of me. The first thing is an election of a new chairman, and then we'll move on. So do I have nominations for new chairman?
I'll nominate Clay Blazer.
I have a nomination for Clay. Do I have a second?
I'm going to nominate Norman Smith.
Yeah, I'd second that, Clay, but I'm not sure you want both on your plate. I'm going to nominate Kyle Schute. Well, I can't do that yet. Yeah.
Do they have to be here?
I think we'd probably want them here, but.
Is this something that we have to do today?
Well, if that's up to you guys. It's on the agenda to do today. If you would rather wait till the next meeting, that's fine.
Yeah. Norman,
let's put this on.
Well, what if me and Clay agree to make Casey chairman?
No.
And, hey, sorry, Biggin.
Come on, man. You don't want that.
Right.
I was going to say, to be honest with you, Norman, I think that's a good idea. Whenever we had our, what did we meet? Maybe we did one of our other ones that we did. Now, I can't remember one of the other meetings that we had. We put off elected, maybe it was finance because we weren't in person. Wasn't that right? We put that out. And I just think it would be better if because it's just easier. If you don't care to do that till we get
I'm okay if we have that. Somebody would like to put that in form of a motion to put off election of officers to the next meeting. And
I'll make the motion that we delay electing officers till the next meeting in person.
Okay, do we have a second?
That.
We have a motion from Mr. Clevenger and a second from Mr. Blazer, and since we are online, guys, let's do a roll call vote. And I apologize to our secretary if we're going too fast, but just whenever you're ready, you can do the roll call.
All right, we'll do the roll call now. Barry Ford, Clay Blazer,
yes.
Norman Smith,
yes.
Jonathan Laws, Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes, please.
and Kyle Schute. All right.
All right. Before we go any further, has anybody else joined the meeting that I'm not aware of? All right. The next thing on the agenda is the issue with first call. And I know, I think Mr. Gillum was interested in bringing this up. And Casey, do you want to speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so we had another incident where some happened up in Cosby this time where we was delayed and at getting the ambulance service up there, and apparently the people who had called the 911 in said that they was told that they was on their way, and then got received a call back saying that Gatlinburg's EMS ambulance service, whatever, was coming to take care of it, and then they never showed. And then the timely matter of how long it took them to get up there was a big issue with some of the people that was involved at the scene. And I just want some explanations of why it's taking so long to get to people.
And I know Lindsay's on the call and she may want to speak to that, but what I do know that I requested the time logs for those calls during that incident. Casey. And so, and again, Lindsay may want to speak to that a little bit, but the from the call logs, they had 4 ambulances on duty, and all 4 ambulances were on a call before that call ever came in. And it looks like on the call log, the first ambulance that came available did answer that call. But Lindsay, you may want to speak to that.
Yes, I do. And I wanted to point out too that we were fully staffed that day with 4 advanced life support ambulances, so we weren't half staffed or had basic trucks or anything. The unfortunate timing of this particular call came in at the very same time of 4 other critical calls as well. Not the same time, but when this call came in, we were on 4 prior calls that were all of equal significance. One was an MVA at 411, which involved a 16-year-old fatality and a critical injured patient. There was another cardiac arrest that took place in the city limits. Another unresponsive patient in the same community that came in prior to that particular call, and we were on our way to that call way up on Trail Hollow. And then another 911 call. And I want to talk about a couple of different things. So things right now are not the way they were a year ago. So normally we could take a patient to Newport Medical, we could drop the patient off and be on our way to another call or be available for a call within 15, 20 minutes. Well, since the COVID pandemic, we are experiencing on a minimum 45 minute wait time to offload patients, and that's at Newport Medical. Other outlying hospitals have up to 5 hours for us to drop a patient off. Not just us, but every EMS agency. They have nowhere to put patients. So Newport Medical Center on any given day is working a 15-bed ER out of about 4 or 5 rooms. So if we take in 4 critical patients, we have nowhere to put those patients. They have to stay on our stretcher until a room becomes available. So what normally we could just take a patient to the ER, drop them off, and be on our way to the next call. That's not what's occurring at the moment. And so we did not have any ambulances on transfers. We did not have any ambulances on basic calls. They were all on 4 911 critical priority 1 calls when this call came in. And Norman, I don't know if you requested the 911 audio. The original call did not come in for a cardiac arrest, which we would have responded regardless if we had an ambulance available, but I just wanted y'all to know all the facts that did occur. What you said, Casey, about Gatlinburg was the first I've heard of that. I didn't know that that was even part of the equation.
Okay. Well, like I said, this was information shared to me by people on the scene. That's why I'm asking these questions. I'm not making statements. I'm just asking questions.
Right. Okay. So that was involved. I was here that day. So I was aware of the situation. Like I said, as soon as we knew that it was a cardiac arrest, Cosby Fire Department was paged out to first respond to start CPR, which I understand that a bystander had started CPR. However, that's not always the case. So we do utilize our fire department for CPR assistance. So that's basically, I can try to answer specific questions without going into a lot of detail, of course, about patients. But does that answer? Does that help any?
That helps a little bit. Can I ask you, how long is it? What is y'all's response time for whenever the call comes into you all, as far as getting your guys loaded and ready to hit out the door? Do y'all have a time for that you try to meet criteria?
Yes, our policy is 1 minute during the day for non-emergency calls and 2 minutes at night, because obviously these guys are taking their shoes off and those kind of things during their downtime. But that is from the moment that we receive the call.
Right.
That is not the moment that this person calls 911. And Keith was not able to be on this call. He had a procedure that was previously scheduled for earlier today, and he told me that if he felt okay, that he would be able to chime in, but I haven't heard from him, so I'm thinking that he was not able to be on the call. We have been working very hard since the last issue occurred. We had a public safety committee meeting over it. and to minimizing and lowering that response time. And I've been including that in my reports, and our time of call received till the trucks are en route has improved tremendously. Like we have on average of usually less than 1 minute response time. And I mean, really to get out to the ambulance, you know, get your information, that is really like, I feel like exceptionally well.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I thought somebody else was going to say something. Sorry.
Well,
I do.
Go ahead, Norm.
The log that was sent to me, I can forward to you guys if you. It has times on these particular incidents when the call came in, when they were en route, how long they were at the scene. It has all that on it. So I'd be more than happy. It'll be tomorrow when I get to my email, but I'd be more than happy to forward it to everybody on this committee if you guys would like.
Thank you. Go ahead, Forrest.
The only issue I had, I understand that 4 ambulances that I spoke with someone about this just days after it happened that works in your ambulance service, and that's what they told me. And this is just a terrible circumstances that caused everyone to be out and no one to be able to respond. My only issue is they knew that it was going to be quite some time before the ambulance would get there. And when the caller, which I talked to personally, they called me the night this happened, and I referred them to Casey because that is their commissioner in that district. They wanted to talk to them also. They were continuously told by your dispatch that they are en route. They will be there shortly. And there is no way that they knew they knew there was going to be some time. They needed to tell these people, hey, look, we are tied up. It could possibly be 30, 40 minutes before we can get there. They should have been notified and let them transport them themselves. That's just my opinion. They could have drove the man to the hospital and been there an hour before the ambulance had got there. And that was, don't tell somebody you're en route and you're going to be there in just a matter of minutes when you know it's going to be a lot longer than that. That's just that's unacceptable.
I completely agree with that. I feel like that we should notify patients. We're all tied up. We're at level 0, and we don't know a time frame, but we will get you somebody there as quickly as possible. And this is where utilizing our first responders, we just don't have any participation from the volunteer agencies like we do in the city. Newport Fire does all of our first response. So when we are at level 0, regardless of the type of call it is, they are dispatched to that area or to that residence or to that business to provide at least basic medical care till we can get there. And they stay on the scene with the patients.
Cosby Volunteer Fire Department, I believe, was on the scene.
They were, but they cannot first respond medically.
They have a first responder on duty with them a lot of times. I'm not sure if they were there or not. But, just let them know, look, it could be a lot. And it's understandable. You're at level 0. If you're out on 3, 4 other calls, just tell them, look, you may want to transport yourself or let Central Dispatch know, and they can see what they can do about getting volunteer or a 700 unit up there.
I think this goes back to a lot of things we discussed before, that these volunteer fire departments, guys, we have got to get them up to speed on some of this first responder training.
I agree.
Even and not only that, she made the statement that the city always responds at level 0 first thing. Well, guys, there is no reason our county fire department cannot respond first thing. And if it's because they don't have training, we need to force the issue.
Well, I brought up the issue that if we do get them training, they should be compensated a little more in my eyes. We need some sort of incentive to make them do that. Because when they signed on the contract to work for the county, that wasn't in the initial contract. You see what I'm saying? And it'd be
It's not
worth
the
it.
volunteer fire department though, Forrest?
No,
Well,
we're talking about
we're talking
the
about-
county. We're talking about the county.
Okay.
Well, I see what you're saying for us, but you know, when I signed on to work a lot of jobs, when I've been told to do something else, I've done something else if I wanted to keep it. And that's all.
That's up to, that is up to the board if they decide to do that. But when we're dealing with volunteers, I think we need to maybe help them or incentivize them to want to do that.
I absolutely agree with that, but I think we have a resource that we're not utilizing in the county, and that's just my opinion. You know, we talked about this before, and here's the problem, guys. This happened once, it will happen again. And I think that we need to look at trying to do all we can to make sure that we can help the citizens of the county whenever we can. And I just think that we need to utilize that county fire department more.
I agree 100%. Go ahead, Forrest.
No, all I was going to say, they have a monthly meeting, the Firefighters Association, every month, don't they still? Maybe if we could have someone go talk to them, and it's comprised of all the volunteer departments. I've been there, that meeting before. Maybe we could get them all together and see what it would take to do that.
I think the most important thing is we don't want the community to start losing trust in our first call services and our first responders. I mean, people want to feel like if something happens, that somebody's going to do their best to help them when it comes. And I think that's what we're having. People are not looking at the pandemic, and I'm sure, and I haven't, to be honest with you. I kind of just got caught up in the phone calls and didn't even really take the pandemic into consideration during all this, you know, as delaying times. But like Forrest said, I think it's important from the first call or whoever it is that speaks with them that they reassure them that somebody's coming as fast as you can get them there. But just don't tell them that you're on your way, because, you know, and I know you guys have your plates full, and I'm not trying to say that, but this is when you're dealing with the public, you got to be real careful how you tread. We don't want the public losing faith in you all, because then they start beating down our doors, and you know, and we have a pandemic going on. We realize that y'all have a lot of stuff going on right now, and you know, but we just got to try to fix the way we handle the patient.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Norman. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, is that something that you can address with your folks?
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to say something else about COVID. So when the pandemic first started, the majority of people in general, especially here in this county, were scared. And they didn't go to the doctor. They didn't go to the hospital. They didn't call 911. If you remember looking back in March and April, our numbers were lower than they've ever been. Well, the pandemic started to grow and people started to get comfortable, and they started, you know, going out and living their lives, which is why we saw this huge increase of COVID cases. Over half of our 911 calls are COVID related. So there's more that goes into this also. So not only do they just get up and go, but they have to put face mask on and N95 mask and safety goggles. They have to wear Tyvek suits or plastic disposable gowns. There's no more just getting up and going. Then they have to come back. That ambulance has to be disinfected so that the next patient doesn't get in there and those airborne particles get on them. So there's so many things that a year ago we weren't dealing with. And I mean, things are just, the life we're living right now for us is just completely night and day to what we were doing previously. And so,
oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you said.
I was just going to say, so there's more time that happens with, like I said, offloading at the hospital, and it's at no one's fault. There's just nowhere to put patients, and we can't tell patients, okay, just because you have COVID, you don't need to go to the hospital, when in fact they don't. But we can't tell them that, so they go to the hospital and they take one of those very few rooms that could be utilized for critical patients, and because they're scared. And so people are just having a really hard time in general, you know, healthcare the way we knew it a year ago is not the way it is now.
I don't know if this is a question that, I don't know if I can even ask it. I don't know. Is there a no resuscitate clause right now for any, like, let's say you come up on a cardiac victim that's gone? Is there a no resuscitate thing now? Or is that something I
Not
can even
here.
ask?
No, you can ask that. Not here. I did see where they had implemented that, like in California. I wouldn't have pictured things the way they are now before, so I won't say that it will never be there. But things are getting worse day by day, and hospitals are getting more full. And our transfers, instead of going from Newport Medical Center to Knoxville or Johnson City, are going to Chattanooga and Cookeville and Asheville, North Carolina. And we've been to Winston-Salem because they cannot find ICU beds for these COVID patients. So we are, like, our resources are just completely stretched out. And it's not just us, the ER is the same way, every ambulance service, every hospital, and we're honestly dealing with it on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate it. Now, before we close out this issue, first of all, before we do anything, Casey, are you satisfied with the answers that you got tonight?
I am. I mean, Norman, we're in a tough spot as a nation, country, and county. I mean, state and county right now, and it is what it is right now. I mean, it's just, I understand that all resources are stretched thin, but if the communication, that doesn't affect communication. We can communicate to these people, and I believe if they don't think somebody's going to be there as fast as possible and something happens, it's going to eliminate some of the concern. But like Forrest said, I mean, if you tell them that you're en route, people are looking and listening for that, and they're ready, and they think that, but then they don't see it for an hour. And I know y'all are stretched thin, and I'm not trying to beat you to death over it. And I know what's going on in the world right now, and yeah, I mean, for right now, I mean, but we just need to really make sure, and I appreciate all the efforts that y'all's put in since the last time we talked from the last incident. It's good to see that your response times as far as getting them out into the trucks and on the road is picking up. That's always good. I think Forrest nailed it on the head. I think we just got to communicate to the patients or the persons on the scene who are there with the patient. So they're not, because they're going to panic, and they're sitting there and they're trying to do everything they can do till y'all get there. And, and they if somebody passes away, which happened in this incident, I don't even know if anything could have been done for the gentleman or not. I don't know. But I mean, it's just the comfort of y'all being there, whether you can do anything or not, I think is greatly needed by a lot of folks. And, but right now, I mean, I don't know how bad I could beat anybody up right now, considering how bad, people's health are from the COVID right now. And, we're in a time right now that none of us just live through.
I want to say one more thing. So I will definitely notify our dispatchers that, and I get your point completely, because in an emergency, even 5 minutes feels like 30. Even if we're on our way that very second, it still feels like an extended period of time, especially in a situation where someone's not breathing. So when you add real time to that, it is very, very, very frustrating. I know my word doesn't mean a whole lot to people, but I promise you, these people here care about these patients, and they don't intentionally drag their feet, and they don't intentionally not respond to calls in a timely manner. They care. We sit here daily and we talk about calls and how we wish things would have turned out differently. This particular call I felt horrible about. And had it been my dad, it would have been the same situation, because it happened at an unfortunate time. And I promise you all, these people care. And if they don't give off that perception, maybe they just don't have the ability to show their emotions, but they care. Like, we sit here daily and we discuss what could have gone better, and they don't like to see people die, and it's part of it, and it just happens. But I will notify our dispatchers and have them just be in real time with people. We are all tied up we don't have any ambulances available. As soon as one clears, they'll be coming your way. And if it is an extended period of time, just know that it's not that it is because we are not available. That is the only reason that there would be, you know, like, except for like one or, you know, the thing that happened before, which I hope we've resolved that problem. So I hate it, like, truly I do. I absolutely hate what happened.
Before we go and leave, Lindsay, has what we done as far as lift assist, have you seen any improvement in that for you
No,
guys?
I didn't know if we were going to talk about that tonight or not. So in the month of December, we increased almost 100 lift assists, and I did want to ask your all's, I guess, opinion or advice. So we have a few people in the community that are calling 911 with no injuries, that have not even fallen, asking us to put the patient in the car so they can go to the grocery store, asking us to take the patient back in the house once they get home from going out to eat. Like, we have patients that are utilizing us, calling 911 saying, I need a lift assistance. And when we get out there, they're saying, we need to run to town and get something to eat and run to the grocery store, and I just can't put him in the car.
Look, this not being a crime. This is misuse of 911. It's actually a criminal offense.
Agreed.
This needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, I agree. Now,
So-
we did give you guys authorization to start charging people.
Yes, I did. I did know that, and we are, like, actually trying to figure out a way that we could code that to patients. And I really feel like that we should, when we have these certain repetitive patients, that we should have that policy or the form printed out. And I feel like the first time we should go out to this residence and say, look, we're here and we're going to assist you this time, but moving forward, here's a piece of paper that explains, you know, what we're going to be doing. We'll be more than happy to help you, but this will be what happens.
Okay.
Just because patients here, they don't have a lot of money. Most people don't. And I don't think they realize the strain that they're putting on. The one particular address I was just talking to is 21 minutes from here, all the way out to the residence, and then taking care of the patient, putting him in the house or getting him out of the house, and then they got 21 minutes to come back to town. So that's like a 45 minutes to an hour tie up on an ambulance for absolutely no medical need.
And then you get, and then when you're doing something like that, then you get the call where you've got somebody unresponsive that's had a heart attack. And guys, we just, you know, I'm with Forrest. If there's a way to criminally charge some of these people for some of this, I hate to be that way, but I also hate for loved ones to be there dying of a heart attack just because we're helping somebody go to town.
Maybe we could get with the attorney's office and with the sheriff's office, and maybe get some literature, something printed out to let them know, look, you are in violation here. You have broken, this is misuse of 911. And even some of these are repeat. I hate to say it, but they need to be cited into court for that. It's criminal. And I don't know.
This particular address we have been to 16 times for nothing more than just to put the patient in the car.
Well, I would suggest you find a way to start charging them as quick as you possibly can, though, too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we went through all this to give you guys authority, and I was hope that you guys start doing it.
Even if they ain't got the money, and I understand there has to be some kind of deterrent. And if they can't afford, to pay the bill, then it becomes maybe a legal situation after that. And then something needs to be put in the fear into this. And we hate it. We know there is people out there that need help, but this is not the right avenue to go. They can call the fire department or the sheriff's office, or either. I don't know if any of them are really even legal calls.
Here's an
idea.
Here's an idea. If I ain't mistaken, the sheriff's department can issue a warning. They could get a warning for the first time or the next time this happens, and then the next time you get charged. You make that recommendation. This happens. They call you up there to move that patient. You call 911, have a 700 unit dispatch, they get a sum or a citation or a warning. I guarantee they ain't gonna call again.
At least to talk to. I mean, even if the law shows up and gives them to talk to, maybe it might deter them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Forrest is saying. I mean, if this 16th
A
call
warning.
and you call again, take somebody with you and say, hey, can we get a sheriff to go with us this time to explain this? And
Yeah.
maybe that'll help.
Just get a warning, like a bad headlight or something. I'm sure they could do that.
I think it's lack of education. I think it's lack of to people in general, like what we do. And I think that people just don't. They get in a hurry and they're like, oh, I can't do this, so I'll just call 911. And then, you know, when they call 911 and they say, I need lift assistance, well, that triggers 911 to automatically send it to us. Maybe there's a way that at Central Dispatch, if the patient is not injured and they have a 700 unit or a 500 unit here in the city, or a volunteer fire department who's willing to go out and assist the patient, then if there's no other resources available, maybe then tone us out as a last resort.
Lindsay, real quick, and you may have given it to me before, but I don't have it with me. Can I get do you have a description of y'all's duties in this county?
We just have we have the contract that just says that we provide advanced life support care and basic life support care. It wouldn't go into that kind of detail.
Yeah, it's emergency medical. You're not really contracted to do non-emergency calls.
And I think, like I said, I think it's just miseducation. I think people just don't realize that they're taking potential life-saving people or ambulances away from people that could really utilize it.
Lindsay, I have a question for you real quick. It's not lift assist. It goes back to when y'all arrive to a scene and the victim is maybe deceased. Y'all still have to go through the checks for life and all that, right?
We do. We will, if we get to the scene and CPR is being performed, we will continue CPR. We will evaluate different things and we will continue CPR. If the patient has not had CPR started, there's a process that we go through checking for different signs of how long they've been down. Then we kind of base our treatment off of that.
So, but you do, if you come up on a scene and I mean, it ain't just an eye test that y'all do. I mean, like if they look dead, you still have to go through the motions, right?
Oh, yes. We check for pulse and breathing. We actually utilize our cardiac monitor to see if there's any cardiac like movement at all, if there's a rhythm at all. Even, you know, like even if you don't feel a pulse, sometimes you just can't feel it. We always put them on the heart monitor and we will utilize their heart rhythm.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, before we move on any further, so Lindsay, you've told us about the lift assist. What do you need? So, what do you need from the committee tonight, as far as that goes, to help you guys?
I guess I just wanted to let y'all aware that, like, we are still discussing the billing thing to put it into effect, and like, in my opinion, I would like to give the people like a verbal warning. I don't want to just start sending out a bunch of bills, because that will make people call you all, you know, over and over and over, like, why am I getting this bill? I wonder if there's not a way to, once we come up with an amount and everything, if there's not a way to put it in the newspaper. I know people don't really read the paper anymore, but at least we're making an attempt to notify people, look, we are still here and we are here for all your emergency needs. But if you need something like a non-injury lift assistance, please utilize your local volunteer fire departments, because if we come out there, this is what it will be.
We could case it up or make a Facebook post. If we have enough followers, maybe they'll get out there.
Yeah, and something like that. I hate that it has to go this route. I really hate it. Me personally, I wish that there was a way to treat every patient for free, but that's just not the day and time we live in. And I understand that too. I'm not, completely not realistic in that area, but I hate it for people. But unfortunately, to utilize our resources, what they need to be used for, I really think this is the only option we have.
Okay. So do we have, Forrest mentioned the fire department's meeting. Would any of the committee members want to volunteer to go to their next meeting and maybe discuss some of that, discuss the things that we talked about tonight as far as having a first responder trained or
I
what?
could do that if you want. I mean,
There's
I'll
an
talk
ERA
to
meeting. Sorry.
Go ahead, Forrest.
I said, I can do that. I'm willing to. I know most of them, and I've talked to them before on other issues. If anybody wants to join me, that'd be great. We'll find out when it is. I think it's like Tuesday.
Forrest, there is an ERA meeting Thursday night at 7 o'clock. I do not know if you have to get on the agenda to speak there or what. I don't have anything to do with that committee, but it is the Emergency Responders Association meeting. And before COVID happened, there was a representative from each agency, Newport Fire, County Fire, First Call, someone from each of the volunteer agencies that all came together, the rescue squad. But I don't know if there's a limit, and I don't know if you have to be on the agenda to speak there, but that meeting is Thursday night at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
And that meeting just occurs every quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it this Thursday they're having one, or?
Yes, they are, and I plan to attend. So if you would like for me just to kind of throw it out there to the volunteer fire department chief that this is kind of what we're discussing, I don't mind to do that. Or if you want to come.
Either way, I mean, I'll show up. I don't forget about it or something come up, but if I'm not there, will you please do that? Maybe we can discuss with them. They can go back to their stations and see what it would take to get the ball rolling on this, and what they're willing to do. It'd be nice to have 2-3 people trained in that in each volunteer station. We should have several because you're going to need them. Not just
If you
volunteers work.
If each of you wanted to reach out to Parrotsville, Parrotsville has a tremendous impact on their community just from their first responder side. We do have some lengthy responses in Parrotsville, and when they have people available that are not at their full-time jobs and stuff, we get a lot of participation from Parrotsville. And
Parrotsville was coming to us, wanting us to donate. I mean, I don't know if we've talked about that yet or if it's been brought up to anyone. They were wanting us to donate one of the old sheriff's SUVs because they have a first responder vehicle they want to get on the road because they have 1 or 2 people there that are trained first responders. And that may be something we could do is some of these old decommissioned SUVs or from the sheriff's office or whatever, donated to each of the volunteer units and help supply them. And, of course, that's going to cost a little bit of money, but it's going to be money well spent.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody don't have anything else.
Well, I do. Sorry,
yeah.
Norm. I hate to
no.
throw it at us. Do we have to suspend the rules on this because it wasn't on the agenda? This is something I tried to get them to add it to the agenda, and it's about the Civil Service Board.
That's my fault, and because I knew there was something that's supposed to be added, and I forgot.
Okay.
I forgot what it was. But no, if somebody wants to vote to make a motion to suspend the rules, we'll talk about it.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Do I have a motion in a second? And if kids don't care again, let's go ahead and do a roll call on that.
Barry Ford, Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws, Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
Kyle Schute. And just a reminder, we did not do an approval of minutes, so we will have to go back to that.
Okay, we'll do that. Just remind me before we adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Forrest.
Okay, what was brought to my attention is, we have a Civil Service Board that oversees the Sheriff's Department. That Civil Service Board was created. There are certain laws, TCA codes. I have a copy of them here. One of the codes, TCA 403, terms of members. And this is lined out specifically by state law. We have 3 members, and each member is supposed to roll off like we did the rec board, 1, 2, 3 years. It's been brought to my attention that this board was created in 2010, and they have yet to change members. We've been rolling for 10 and a half years with the same 3 members, and they're supposed to be replaced every year. One's supposed to drop off every year. It's a violation of the law for one, and it is in violation of the charter that was created that created the board. It's up to the CLB alone, to appoint the members. And there's certain criteria, of course. They can't be elected officials, can't be appointed to state or county government. We just have to pick 3 good citizens to do the job. And the mayor, it is her duty to pick the chairman out of the 3, and the sheriff department supplies 1 person to be the secretary. I would like to bring this in front of the full body in order to make the county compliant to state law and to the civil service way it was set up. We need to replace all 3 members. I need to put it out maybe to the next CLB meeting to have people submit Clay. Clay would be the best one to do that with, of their interest. I have 1 person who's really interested in it, and that's it. He's a great candidate. Everybody will agree when I mention his name. The sheriff is all for this, and he just thinks we need new blood. We need new blood on these boards. There's a lot of boards out there. Gayla's brought this up a few times. Clay, anybody that's had any kind of leadership class or dealt with nonprofits, that is one of the biggest things, no-nos you do with a board, is you let it get stagnant and go on for years with the same members when you should be replacing them every so often. I'd like to make a motion that we bring this up to the full body to replace the 3 members who have sat on the board for way too long, and to come up with 3 new board members. I'd like to make that in a motion.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And so now I have one question before we vote on that. And my question is, how much training is involved to sit on this board? Do you know?
I've got the state requirements for a board member. They have to be 18 years old, felony-free citizens, and they can't be elected officials. They can't be appointed by the county, and that's basically it.
I didn't know if there's any rules or anything they need to be aware of, or how they're supposed to handle it. And the only reason I'm asking that, and I agree, all of them need to be replaced, but do you want to replace them all at one time so nobody knows what the procedures that they should have to follow or whatever?
That's a good point. You may want to keep one of the old ones to stay on, but the thing about it, there is stuff in here that the sheriff's department and everybody, when a new member comes on, they're supposed to get some training from them. So if we replace all 3, they're going to be brought up to speed on it. Anyway, we can discuss that too.
Okay. Well, if you want to, as far as discussing it right now, would be a good time. So we don't. So if we bring it before the full board, you know what I mean. That just cuts down on the big meeting if we want to discuss it now. Now, sure. Again, I'm okay if everybody wants to replace them all. I'm okay with it. I'm just concerned that something like that. If you get rid of all of them at one time. Go ahead, Clay.
I think what I was going to say is I think we're all aware of some instances where we've put in an all new board and we sort of see takes a year or even longer to get them up to speed as far as what they need to do. Maybe we should look at replacing 1 member but then obviously with what Forrest is saying, and then and keep that on an agenda where we know that, like, for example, next January, or I don't even have an issue with maybe replacing 1 member now, replacing the 2nd member in 6 months, and then next year in January, adding the 3rd member so that we've got some time to move forward. Now, I know that there are some issues with that, but at least then that gives us time to, so that nobody's coming in there all new. And unfortunately, as we have seen with other situations, you don't always have, how do I want to put this delicately? You just don't have everybody in there kind of knowing exactly what's going on. And it can take, a long time for everybody to get that figured out. It shouldn't, but we also know that it could.
Clay's right. And I really don't have a problem. I think we should replace all but one. The fellow, I'll tell you who was interested in doing this, and you'll agree, Jason Hour. He has tons of experience on boards. He was in law enforcement for years. He was in business. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to get him up to speed.
Do you want to amend your motion to replace one every 6 months till they're all replaced?
Yeah, that's good. Let's do that. I amend my motion to replace one every 6 months until all are replaced.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay.
And then and I think as we move forward, we can get that going and then put them in like in a 1, 2, and 3 year term. Is that kind of what we want to do? Like this first one will be on there for 3 years, or how we can figure that out some way. But
point of order though, whoever seconded my original motion has to.
Oh, you're right, Casey.
I think it's Casey.
I second it.
Okay.
Good. Just a point of order. But I think you're right, Clay. If we replace one now, we wait 6 months to replace one, and then it's 6 more months. So all 3 will be replaced within a year. We do that.
Okay. We have a motion to replace the Civil Service Board for the Sheriff's Department. Replace one now, replace another in 6 months, and then 6 months after that, replace the third one. So do we want the first, now let me ask you this, the first board member that you replaced, do you want him to serve a year, or do you want him to 3 year? How do you want to do it? 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3? As far as your serve?
We should do it the way, well, according to the law, it would actually go 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, because the first member would roll off. No, it would go 2, 3, 1, wouldn't it, Clay? Am I not mistaken?
I would think so, yeah. Because we don't want them all at the same time.
Right.
So the first one that comes in to replace would stay 2 years, the second one would be 3, and then 1.
Okay, that'll be part of the motion then, if that's okay. If our secretary has that and she's ready, if there's no other discussion, we will vote on that motion, and we'll do it with a roll call. So just, Ms. Secretary, just whenever you're ready.
Okay, Barry Ford, Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws, Casey Gillum,
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
that's okay, Forrest Clevenger,
Yes, please.
and Kyle Schute. Okay.
All right, this will come up then at our meeting, and I'll bring it up. If somebody could send me if you could please send me a copy of these minutes before our next full CLB meeting, so I'll have it to remind me of how we did that.
If you want this year, the bylaws of the civil service and the state law, let me know. I'll try to get you copies.
I do, Forrest. If you can get me some, please. I'll come by and give them at your place.
Tomorrow, Casey, I'll just give you these.
Okay.
Or
I'll come by your place tomorrow and grab them. I'll come by tomorrow during my lunch and grab them.
If we get somebody that's got access to a free printer, would be great. We can get everybody.
I was going to say, Forrest, if you'll give me those, I will actually make a copy for everybody to somehow send out at the next CO. I may try to get them to April so that she can send them out to all the commissioners so that they can see that and have it in front of them at our next commission meeting. And I can come by the shop and get those.
Thank you, Clay. All right. Is there anything else tonight?
We need
Yes. Go ahead. We need to do the minutes. You're right.
You're right.
That's what I was.
Let's vote to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Forrest and a second from Mr. Blazer. So if there's no discussion, we'll do a roll call on approving the minutes.
Okay, Barry Ford, Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws, Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes, please.
and Kyle Shute. Okay.
All right. If there's nothing else, then
Well, one thing, Norm, one thing, I mean, it's nothing. I just wanted to add this. Gayla brought this to my attention a moment ago. Some of you may know it, some of you may not. You remember the federal lawsuit that we've been telling everybody that we were facing because of the jail?
it's here.
It's got filed yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it.
If any of you hadn't looked, go to Channel 10 News. It's the top thing.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about it later. That's it.
Okay. If there's nothing else, again, I appreciate everybody taking their time and to be here and discuss this. It was, to me, it was a big issue. And anytime that there's a death involved, it's a big issue. Lindsay, thank you very much for showing up and
You're very
helping out tonight. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
I make a
adjourn.
motion. Second.
Second, 30.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
much.